Warning, incoming dad joke. Warning, incoming dad joke.
How do you fix a broken jack-o'-lantern?
I don't know, Tito. How?
A pumpkin patch. Stupid.
It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. Tune into your favorite podcast for the Halloween episode. Don't miss it. And don't forget to put on your headphones. The clock is ticking. It's almost time.
Happy Halloween, 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 happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Happy Halloween, Halloween.
Good evening, all you children of the night, and what sweet music we're about to make with another melodious and horrific episode of Three Geeky Dads, the show that will have you screaming for more earplugs, please. I am Mark.
I'm Derek.
I'm Brian.
And returning from the grave is the Dream Master to our first 3 Nightmare on Elm Streets, Tito.
I always get the 4th installment. And
That's because you're
don't
number
love
4.
it. I don't love it.
You got to suck it up, man. You knew what you
I'm
signed up
sucking
for.
it up.
You knew what you signed up for.
That's true. That's very true.
And that's my intro. So tonight we're mixing things up a little bit here. We are actually going to forego the appetizers. A lot of stuff dropped this month, more so than normal. A lot of awesome horror stuff that we really wanted to cover, and we were planning on just doing anthologies originally, but then we had new movies, new specials, and it would be a crime not to cover them, as Brian said. And you're absolutely right. So instead of just doing all anthologies, we actually have a couple of episodes that's going to cover some of the new stuff that's dropped, including this episode. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Hellraiser reboot, and instead of an appetizer, we're going to spend that time talking about Werewolf by Night.
Yes.
So let's just get right into it, because there is a lot to say about both of these things. So our appetizer tonight.
Can I have a piece of toast?
Get the fuck out of here, Jack.
Is Werewolf by Night. What did everybody think? Opening thoughts. Who would like to sound off first?
I'll start.
Brian. Sorry. I was going to say, because Brian's our Marvel guy. I figured he could lead us off.
That's true. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I loved it. I've already watched it 4 times.
Oh.
And if I had one complaint about it, is that it's too short.
Yeah.
And that's
Although,
why
you
I
know,
watched it 4 times.
4 times. You could have watched
Hellraiser twice.
You go or Justice League once.
That's right. Oh, Justice League
We're
once.
going to watch the Snyder Cut one time.
That's right.
Wow.
Both were in black and white.
That's true. Yeah, but one had better
aspect ratio.
Aspect ratio.
I thought it was fantastic. I loved every little detail, down to the fact that it looked like a Universal movie.
The cigarette burns.
The cigarette burns in the corner. The artifacting in the film that were all added, but just down to the tone of it was wonderful.
Yeah.
I loved it. I want to see more. I hope this becomes an annual thing. I would like to see Disney Plus do an annual Halloween special with either Werewolf by Night or other creatures from the Marvel Universe, with either Werewolf by Night or Man-Thing.
Well, and they're saying that this is one of the most successful things that Marvel has put out on Disney Plus right now.
Yeah, I can believe it.
And they just changed the date. They pushed the date further up again on Blade.
Oh yeah, no,
And
I
I'm
saw
wondering
that.
if there's
Well,
some type of connection.
but
If
they're
maybe
The
rescripting
reason
the
is
whole
that the
thing.
director left.
Huh?
The director for Blade left. He quit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're looking for a director, which is probably why they bumped it back.
But they also hired a different writer to rewrite the whole thing.
Yeah, and I heard
Yeah.
Mahershala Ali is getting very frustrated with the whole
I would
process
imagine,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder if he's going to be sticking around.
I was hoping that maybe it was because they realized what they had with this and they wanted to kind of incorporate more.
I don't think so.
But
I think it's
that
got other
sucks.
issues behind the scenes, which is why it's been pushed back.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. But to get back to this, I thought it was I thought it was fantastic, and I just want more of it. I want more of it. I love the characters and want more.
They certainly set it up for more.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Derek?
I loved it. I like you said, the tone of it, the way that they treated it like an old serial kind of horror movie, and the types that we watch a lot of and cover a lot on this show. The characters were great. I liked Elsa, and the actor that played Jack was fantastic.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Gael
Gael.
Garcia.
Yeah,
Yep,
I
Bernal.
can't think of what I've seen him before, and I know that I've seen him.
Y tu mama también.
I haven't seen
Tuma
that one, though.
También with Andor.
Yeah, with
Him and
Andor. Yeah,
Diego Luna.
that was the first
Yeah.
thing I saw both of them in.
But the special effects were great.
He played Che Guevara too. He was in the Motorcycle Diaries.
Yes,
I
he
don't know.
was.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and when in the end when they bring it to color with Wizard of Oz, I thought that was kind of cool. It's
Yeah,
like,
nice,
all right.
perfect little
Yeah,
touch.
I'm looking forward to what they do. They did a great job with Man Thing.
Oh, I love Man
It
Thing.
was perfect.
I loved it.
The only thing I wish they had done was thrown in a little bit more, like if they're gonna, like we were talking earlier about throwing in mutants with X-Men and having them not be anybody really. They should have done that with the Hunters.
I thought the same thing, but I gave it a pass only because they killed them all off.
Yeah.
So then I was
that's
like,
true.
okay, well, I don't need to know this guy
Yeah.
anyways. They were just fun
true.
little characters.
Yeah.
from the
Yeah, they
show,
were
so
more
it was
like wolf.
Like if
fodder
they
than
had like
anything else.
Hannibal King in there and then killed him right off.
Yeah,
that
then I'd be
sucked.
like, oh, that's
Yeah.
fucking, yeah, agreed.
No.
I thought this was really fun, and honestly, it reminds me a little bit of, a lot actually, of what Tarantino did in Kill Bill, with the use of like gore, and it's Disney, so it's black and white, so there's no blood splatter,
Yep.
or it's black and white blood splatter, so that violence that's in the show is still kind of user friendly.
Yeah.
And the use of color with only the gem, I thought was fantastic.
And Man Thing's Eye, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Man Thing's Eye. Yeah, I thought that the little use of color that they did use throughout the black and white was like perfect.
Yeah.
And as much as you get that feel for that classic like Universal monster film, it's got that nice little touch of like now, where it's like, oh no, we got a little Technicolor, the gem when it shines in certain areas. I thought it was fantastic. The action scenes were really, really cool. The fight scenes are really fun. When they fight the guy with the axe, the bigger dude with the beard. That's a really great scene. Just a fun, yeah. I was wondering what Gael Garcia Burrow was going to be, and I thought he did a really, really good job. And the Man Thing stuff is just so much fun.
Yeah.
When you see how they play it with like him being Ted and how
Their relationship was awesome.
and how they translates into like when he senses your fear, then he just burns you up into ash. But that's like playful. They have this like very playful. No, call him Ted when you see him. She's like, Ted, what a great name.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and his face changes like
Yeah.
a puppy dog.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is fantastic. So good.
Yeah, I loved it as well. This was a Universal film that was amped up to 11.
Yeah.
Modern action scenes, like you said, and just everything about it is great. I have no complaints about it, except like Brian, it was too short. This is the first thing from really the MCU in general, but more so Marvel Disney, that I want more of.
Yeah.
And I hope we do get, be it a special or a series, or because like you said, there was still so much they could have covered. It seemed like they were just testing the waters with this.
I think they were.
And so they didn't want to give too much away, but I loved it. The Wolfman design was wonderful. It really harkened back to the Lon Chaney Jr. days.
Yeah.
I
I was
absolutely-
thinking more Henry Hull.
Well, Henry
from
Hull
Werewolf of
too, but
London.
it was a Wolfman.
Oh, yeah.
I was
No,
saying.
it was-
It was just very well done.
Yeah. He wasn't down on all fours,
I
that's
love
for
Man
sure.
Thing, and the whole there was a whole Frankenstein relationship with both Jack and Man Thing, as well as Elsa and Man Thing. There, you really got shades of Karloff and Frankenstein in this.
And her name was Elsa.
I know, right? And that added to it. Yeah, no, everything in this was awesome. I love Eve 6. I can't remember the actress's name who played the main villain. I always forget it, but she was in that Eve episode of X-Files. She was Eve 6. So and she was
Harris.
She was a phenomenal villain.
Yeah, she was. And
I
like I
like-
said, her voice, I don't know
Oh,
if she
it
was
was
channeling Frida Jackson from Hammer's Brides of Dracula.
Gerda.
But she
Greta.
sounded just like Greta
Yeah,
or Gerda
totally.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And you had some Hammer moments in this as well, but it was predominantly.
Oh, it was mostly Universal. It was a love letter to Universal.
Well, and you know what I like too is that like it, even though when it was black and white, it very much felt like an old 40s or 50s movie.
Yeah.
they did not none of the style, like the clothing.
No.
There was no like real confirmation that this is the 30s or 40s or 50s.
No.
And when it comes to color, so I'm wondering if like that shift to color at the very end, like maybe it's actually modern time.
It is.
Oh, so my understanding
Yeah,
is
no,
that's
it is
exactly
modern
what it
times.
is.
Yeah.
But
So-
I think they just did it for the tone.
Yeah.
You know, and then they just brought it into the color to say like, no, this is the modern age.
Yeah.
But look what we did.
Yeah.
You know.
But in comics, you can mix
Oh,
multiple
yeah. Yeah.
worlds, multiple
Yeah.
styles. Nothing set in stone, and
No.
it was just great. This was so much fun, and
Marvel has
the
a lot of
music was
monsters
awesome, and
to explore.
Yeah.
Like, now that
Yeah.
they've breached, like they've kind of crossed that threshold into
That's what I want to see more
this
of.
genre.
Yep.
That, right up our alley. For sure.
Totally, I really want to. I want them to explore the side. They didn't dumb it down for Disney. I thought, how gory could they get? But the black and white thing let them get away with a lot. It was gritty. It was dark. It reminded me of the Netflix Marvel stuff that I love more than I love anything. From
well, that's
from
what I was
Disney
going to bring
Marvel.
up too as we go further into it. Was that it had a great hallway fight towards the end.
It did.
Yeah.
It had which was reminiscent of the Daredevil
Daredevil.
series that was on Netflix. Like that show had the best hallway fights of like anything I've ever seen, and this show like kind of took a lot from that. Where the final after Gael Jack Russell turns into the werewolf, and he's taking down all the Bloodstone's
guards.
goons, and the door is slowly closing. And there's blood
keep
on the
it on one
there's
guy.
blood on the camera lens too
Yeah.
that's
Oh, yeah,
dripping
yeah,
down
yeah.
as
Yeah.
the door
Yeah,
is
great.
closing, and you just it's all shadow, but it's brutal. It's brutal. There's black and white
I
blood
love
flying
those
everywhere.
shots where they keep on one person and all the action is still going on,
all around.
but it's all just reactionary.
Yes.
What that person
Kind of like
is
it's in the
seeing.
background.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, no, it was very well done,
No.
and kudos to Michael Giacchino.
Yeah.
Oscar-winning composer,
Absolutely.
first-time director, and he's hitting it out of the park with
Yep,
this.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Hitting it out of the park.
I want him to take over this this dark universal
He loves this
monster
stuff from what I read.
from Universal.
He
that
absolutely loves this
they
stuff.
have been
Yeah, that
trying
would
to
be-
get going
Yeah.
for years now. I think I want him to helm this and see what he can come up with.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he gets it. He
There
absolutely
was-
gets it.
The guys over at Two Geeks and a Microphone
Yes.
brought this up. They brought up the Hitchcock element to it, and the whole time you're waiting for Jack to change into the werewolf, and you know it's only going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen at some point, and you're
Right.
not sure when. And even when Elsa's in the cage with Jack, I first of all, she was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a team up I absolutely loved. All the characters were really good,
Yeah.
but their back and forth, their chemistry, is solid.
She's a fantastic
yeah,
actress.
she is.
She's very good.
Yeah,
And
she's in that
her
show.
character's great too.
Yeah.
Talk about for how long was this thing? Like
For an hour.
Just under an hour, 57 minutes,
the
I think it
amount
was.
of character development you got out of this this girl.
Yeah.
Like I haven't seen it in half of the characters in these
Right.
these series.
They did
that
a
came
very
out.
good job setting up
yeah.
a huge, actually a huge in-depth story in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And fitting as much information as possible while still maintain the pace
Yeah.
and the entertainment factor.
Yeah, they'd be crazy if
Yeah.
they didn't do more
Yeah.
with this based on the reaction. I haven't heard one negative thing about it yet.
No, I haven't either.
And this isn't Warner Brothers, so it's a good bet we're going to get more of this kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm not sure the actress's name that plays Elsa, but she's in Outlander on Stars. She's a minor character in that, but she was also the star of that HBO series that
Oh, the Nevers.
The Nevers that
Yeah.
Joss Whedon did last
It
year.
was like Victorian X-Men.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's very good in that
Yeah.
show, and
Yeah.
it had a lot of promise.
And it's no
but-
wonder that you're a fan of her, Mark, because she kind of reminded me of like a dollar store Ava Green. A little
Yeah, I
bit.
guess
Oh,
I
I
can
I
see
can see
that.
that. You know what I was going to say
see that a
was
little bit.
Lisa Marie,
Lisa Marie.
Tim Burton's ex-wife,
didn't
the one
see
that
that
was
at all.
Sleepy.
Oh, that
Sleepy
plays the mom in Sleepy
The
Hollow.
mom in Sleepy Hollow.
I could
Yeah, she-
kind of see that too around the eyes.
not so much Mars Attacks,
No.
but Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow,
Lisa Marie.
Vampira.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I can see that. So what were our I'm taking a cue from Two Geeks and a Microphone because I was on there talking this with these guys and they had these, so I'm stealing from them. I'm stealing from you guys. What were your favorite parts? I was asked this question and I said it was hard because it was so such a short thing. The whole thing was my favorite part.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it was such a short running time. But what stood out to you guys?
I mean, obviously the big the transformation, and then when he starts fighting the guard, like that sequence is amazing.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably at the top of everybody's list, and that's the automatic go-to. So I mean, if I had to pick a different scene from the whole thing, I really liked the build-up with all of them. You know, with what was the. But her like explaining the rules and all the hunters are in the room.
Verusa?
Yeah, like
It's a cool name.
you know, where the corpse puppet thing.
Oh
pops
yeah,
out.
the animatronic guy.
I dug that.
I'm rotting for you.
I was a little worried at first when
Yeah.
the joke started in. I said,
Yeah.
"Oh no!" But
Yeah.
then it never went to that.
No, it never
You
went
know.
beyond that.
No, my first time watching this, I missed a lot because I honestly was waiting for it to suck because it started out so good, and I was sitting there like upright, like it's going to turn at some point. I'm going to hate this. It's going to be all jokes. Who's this else? Because I didn't know who Elsa was at the time.
didn't? Oh, okay.
No, so I was like, who's this Elsa? Wait a minute. Is this going to be all about her and there's going to be no werewolf? Wait a minute. You know, I'm being a dickhead. No one's around, so I'm just being a dickhead to myself, trying to find a moment where it's going to go south, and it doesn't.
Yeah, no, it
I was
didn't.
like, oh shit, now I got to watch it again because I didn't catch everything the first time because I was too busy being an asshole waiting for it to drop. So
They
it
did a
didn't.
really good job with
Yeah.
her. And
Yep. Yeah, there was no fat on this entire
No.
episode. Even the parts that were a little slow, like when Jack and Elsa were locked in the tomb
Oh, I love
together.
that. Yeah.
That was a great scene.
It was.
You know, and Jack is like, you know, I don't want to die, but if this is how we end, then so be it. You know, that this is
well, and
how
you get
it
to
ends.
see, and you get to see like you know. It's a lot of character building in general
Yeah.
for both characters in that scene.
Yeah.
It's not one of those scenes that it's not, there's no action, we didn't really need it. No, you did, and,
Yeah.
and it was it
Totally.
served,
And it was
served
legitimate.
its
It
role.
was legitimate
yes.
dialogue. It wasn't just trading quips.
Yeah.
It
That's
was,
right. It was.
You know,
It was.
building up the trust between the two of them.
Yeah, and then it showed like her ingenuity as to like, you know, we're not really trapped in here because my crazy aunt
Yeah.
always thought she'd come back from the dead and she needed an exit strategy. So in here, and she's handing body parts to Jack. And he's got a leg in one hand and the skull in the other, and then she's like finds that weapon that she had, that thing on the chain,
And then
and she's
which
this
awesome.
is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And
Which
she
if I
pockets
remember
that.
correctly, she uses that in the comics. That's
Oh,
one
yeah,
of
that's her
like,
thing?
Well, one of her like
Yeah.
trademark weapons.
Yeah,
that she has.
And then she
So-
finds the key and they get out. But did you guys notice too in the end credits when they're doing like kind of that animation where they have like those frames of the stills from the
Yeah.
movie that's kind of like cartoony? There was a hand coming out of her coffin, like, oh, so she did come back from the dead.
Oh, yeah. Where the hell's my key?
Yeah, like exactly. Where's my
That's awesome.
key?
It was cool because even though it was his show, and it was mainly about the werewolf, it was a big origin story for her.
Yeah.
Because she is an established character.
Yeah.
She does
But
exist.
balanced.
She's a
Well,
big
that
character.
too,
Balanced out, right?
like
Yeah.
I was going
Balanced
to
out,
say too, that and the entire Bloodstone family.
Yeah.
Because she's talking about this aunt, and I'm like, does she have like all these creepy old relatives, kind of like the Addams family, and
Yeah.
like everybody's got a story? Like each coffin like has
It's
a
like
crazy creepy relative in there.
They're the Marvel Van Helsings, really.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what you
their-
were saying.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like a monster hunting family that's been around for centuries. And, I mean, and Ulysses is one of the established guys. I had never heard of her. Her aunt.
Who's the
or-
family from Castlevania?
The Belmont.
Belmonts.
Yeah, the Belmonts.
Yeah.
That's what it harkens back to
Exactly.
for me.
I'm looking forward to what they're gonna do.
Me too.
Cool.
I really
And,
want
like,
to see more of this.
More team ups with them. I'm sure that because in the comics she has someone that's a vampire as well that she works with. I forget what the dynamic is, but she her
That must be a
kind of
thing with Marvel.
like Constantine,
Because even
has
the new
those
Moon Knights
kind of like
have that too.
connections.
Mark, remember,
and-
Moon Knight has his like right hand girl as a vampire.
In the new Moon
In
Knight
the new
run,
Moon
it's
Knight run.
it's a secretary, right? Or an
Something like
assistant.
that, yeah.
She's
Yeah.
like the his girl Friday.
That's what I mean.
guess is
Yeah,
the best
his
way to
right hand
That's
girl.
cool.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Right.
like that.
How about you, Brian?
With what?
Part that stood out.
Yeah.
The part that stood out for me, probably like Derek said, the transformation scene is iconic. But like I brought up, I like the quiet moment of him getting to know Elsa and having that heart to heart in the tomb, and her like realizing like I can actually do something. I don't have to lie here and like he said and die in this place, and I can be a part of this. Watching her find herself, and before she got locked in the tomb too. Taking out that guy with the little crossbow,
Yeah.
and she chops his arm off, and then she has to figure out
with his own
how
hand.
to
Yeah.
use his
Use
own
the
weapon
action, yeah.
against him, and she shoots him right in the throat.
That was great, dude. All
Yeah.
these hunters were so snooty
Yeah,
or
snotty.
smug.
You leave before I have to get snooty. Snooty?
Snotty.
Snotty.
Okay.
Yeah, I loved it.
I like when they were running off the kill totals, and he had over 100.
Yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
like, well, not like me.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
But similarly to Brian, like the smaller moments, I absolutely love the part where he starts smelling her.
Yes,
And
that
he's
was
like,
a
I don't want
great
to.
gimmick.
I
Yeah.
want to remember
I wanna
you.
remember
Yeah.
when I
Did
change.
it ever work
Yeah.
once?
Yes,
And,
exactly.
so then it's like maybe it's. I guess the easiest answer is like Man Thing. But maybe I'm thinking like maybe it wasn't Man Thing. Maybe as an animal it doesn't matter for Man Thing because he's not afraid of him. That there's still that connection.
Yeah.
Maybe there's another character that we don't know about.
That's
that
what I was thinking to you.
has a connection that might get fleshed out. But
Yeah.
yeah, those moments, them in the when they're locked up in the room, them in the cage, and it's not weird at all, and it's not like a love story at all. It's just a connection
Yeah.
that they're making between each other.
Right.
That's really, really like touching. You know, 'cause
No,
the
it's
action they
yeah.
can do and the horror they're showing they can clearly do, and we got a little taste of that in Doctor
Yeah.
Strange.
Well, like
But
like an
well-
alliance. Like they
An alliance.
they
yeah,
both
yeah.
represent like people who are not really what they appear to be,
Yes.
and don't really like follow.
and Jack Russell, the character, just right off the jump, all these other hunters are so very, like you said, snooty and arrogant, and he doesn't have any of that. Even when they're like over 100, and he's kind of sitting there like, yeah,
He's very
Yeah.
modest about it.
I did
Yeah.
it, and he's and when they
And we
come
know
across
why.
each other, even though we don't know that he's trying to help Man Thing, he's just like, I want nothing to do with you. I don't want to
Yeah.
fight you right now. I have something else I'm working on.
Yeah.
Where the,
Yeah, when he first meets Elsie, he says, how about we just like
yeah,
pass by
let's
each
just
other?
pretend we, yeah, right.
Let's pretend we didn't even see each other. We'll just pass right on by.
And then
that
the
other
huge
guy
dude
interrupts.
busts out. He's like, I'm
Yeah.
killing everybody.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And
All right.
we were talking about this last night too. That huge dude with the beard with the axe.
Yeah.
He was in Star Trek: The Voyage,
Voyage
Home. He
Home.
was the punk on the bus with the boombox.
The boombox.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same dude.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Mine was blown.
Yeah.
And the Ziggy Stardust looking one.
Oh my God, that's what I thought
She's
too.
been in a bunch of stuff.
Has she?
Yeah.
I thought it was Doug Jones at first.
I know.
Yeah,
They did.
right.
I know.
Yeah, I
She
was
did
gonna
look like
tell.
Doug Jones.
His name was Jovan, and hers was Azrael.
Really?
And then the guy with the crossbow was Leorn.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. I know from Tokyo Drift. He was in Tokyo.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and he was the kid in you ever see The Perfect Score, the SAT?
Yeah.
Where they steal the SATs. He's like the Asian kid from The Perfect Score.
Nope.
Holy
There's
shit!
that.
You're right.
And Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans.
I never
saw
saw
it.
that.
With the
first one.
spiky, and he's kind of like
Yeah.
a stoner kind.
Yeah.
right?
And he scores the highest out of everybody. Yeah, even though he doesn't care about school. But yeah, that was the only
Holy
guy.
shit!
Really, such a fun and clever approach, especially because it's Disney. So you don't know what you're gonna get. When
Right.
they're like, let's go horror.
Yeah.
And my assumption is like maybe they'll try to push it on Hulu or something to that effect. It makes me wonder what they're gonna do for Daredevil. Because
Makes
that
me wonder
show
what they're gonna
was-
do about Deadpool.
Yeah, right.
know.
That show
They're
is
gonna
so
shoot that in
gritty.
black and white.
Yeah, right. All
Right.
those kill scenes. Yeah, with all the swearing, like Daredevil, Punisher. Those shows were like just very gritty.
Yeah, they're very
and
brutal.
They were
They still,
awesome.
dude. I don't know how they do it. They still keep it Disney. They keep everything Disney.
Well, you know what though?
But they do it so well. But it's super entertaining. But it's like, yeah, Disney made that.
If they continue to do them though, like Universal and Hammer did them, then they shouldn't have a problem. Because I mean, with the exception of the nudity in Hammer movies, like I would be
Which
fine.
didn't come out until the later years when they were
I
starting
would
to flounder.
totally let let Liam watch any of those movies.
Yeah.
He probably
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
like them. But
Yeah.
like I don't know if he would follow them. But I mean, it's not something that you'd have to put.
Well, as
like
long
an
as it was a
R-rated.
Hammer movie that came out before 1970, you don't have to worry about nudity.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of blood.
Yeah. But like these black and white, like if they continue this style, they can continue to do all that. Like, because those movies weren't gory. Like you don't have to make it gory. You made a good flick, and yeah, I mean, even staying in black and white, not changing color. If they had done it with like close-ups of the kills and stuff,
Yeah.
I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much. It was more of a thrill to not see everything, and that like the way that they shot that scene. Just,
Yeah.
you know, if they continue to do these like that, you can make you can bring all these types of characters in and just make them like Universal horror movies.
Yeah, for sure.
It's what you
And
don't see.
they'll be relatively family friendly.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know?
Less is more.
The Val Lewton effect. Of
Exactly.
Yeah.
Less is more.
Yeah. Well, I'll be the one to bring up the obvious one, which is the transformation, because it was the lack of transformation.
I know.
Yet they did so much with so little. It was awesome. I love how they chose not to bother with trying to up any classic transformation, because you can't. So what do? They say, well, let's give you less. Let's do it all in shadow. Let's do it with the silhouette against the wall, and leave the rest up to your imagination.
And with her,
Right, and like you were saying,
and
Derek,
her reaction.
you're focused on her face,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
behind her, you see the transformation happening in shadow.
It was
Which
brilliant.
in today's world of everything in your face, especially in these superhero shows and movies, is a complete departure from it, and it worked. And it was a good move, a rare move to see something like that in a modern superhero.
Well, do
show.
you feel like that's more of an homage to that classic style of like, how do we make this happen? You know, with the guy walks behind the tree and
I
it
do.
comes out.
Yeah, well,
something
yeah.
else?
Well, Brian mentioned Henry Hall
Yeah.
and
Okay,
Werewolf of London.
Yeah,
That's
and that
exactly what it
happens in
was.
that.
That's what-
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
just a series of lap dissolves where Henry Hall is in a little bit of makeup. He walks past a
pillar or something, yeah.
in his mansion, and then he's got a little bit more. He walks
Okay.
past another pillar and a
Yeah.
little more.
I've never seen that, but
Yeah.
that's
Oh, it's
interesting.
really good.
Yeah,
It's
no.
I
Sounds
wonder
good.
if they're keeping in line with that style of, which is funny because this is obviously we're grown adults speaking on these movies, and you guys have more of a familiarity with that style of film. But for, like my son, I don't know if my son's seen it yet, but I'm wondering like his take on it, or just younger kids' take on this, like, or because they wouldn't even recognize what that is,
Yeah.
or what it's about.
It's so
and-
shrouded in the darkness that you don't see the
Yeah.
details of the costume.
or just
You
even
don't
like
see-
the homage, or if it's like an attempt at like kind of bringing this old style to a newer group of people that might then at that point maybe they would be interested in
Yeah.
seeing
Yeah.
more of that universal style of
I
film.
think we would see it, and film buffs would see it as an homage. I think younger people, very young kids or whatever, who saw this, they would know it without knowing it, meaning their minds were seeing the rest of it, and they would enjoy it because they're, whether they're aware of it or not, they're using their imagination.
Right, and their imagination is filling in the
it's-
blanks.
Yeah, and the film is sparking their creativity again, which again is just something a lot of movies just don't do. Everything is
it's gotta
right
be
in
right in your
front of
face.
you,
Yeah.
CGI,
Well,
everything.
all the details.
Yeah,
right
and
there
I
for you
think
to
I think
see.
kids are more hip to it than even they realize.
yeah,
That less
I don't know
is more.
necessarily, no, not so much the less is more, the filling in the blanks, or like if that style of filmmaking
You mean would it
translates
work?
now. Right.
I do.
Because I know older people, we've all seen it, we all loved it, and those homages clearly make you guys love it even more.
Yeah, but even the way it was filmed, and because it was
'Cause it's
it was
fun.
shooting on Elsa's reaction, so
Yeah.
a younger person who's watching this with a different kind of attention span can hone in on Elsa's expressions and then the cutaways. So it's happening fast enough to keep the attention of again, somebody with a that's used to quicker images.
I'll test
That's
it
what I
out.
think.
I'll watch it with my
I'll watch it with-
5-year-old,
I'll
and
watch
we'll
it
see
with
what
my
happens.
6-year-old. I'll watch
then
it
it's
with
like-
Libby.
well, then I think
She's
like
seen worse.
the evolution of horror itself and where it came from to where it is, which we're gonna get into with the second movie. Where it got so much bloodier, gorier. You see more. You see a transformation. It's really disgusting. You see all these different things now that's expected from the audience. You know, like an audience expects that, especially now. And those people don't have that same connection to older film styles.
Yes.
So just my thought process is like, does it still hold up? I think it does, but I still see like, oh, that's so cool. That style, that's this older style.
It's an old school
that has
style.
kind of been
Yeah.
revamped because they incorporate some newer, like the dude's hand getting cut off.
Yeah.
It's not especially gory. It's a very clean swipe, but it's still like very badass. You're like, oh, that's badass.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Also, I think there's a big payoff with the kill that oh shoot, should I
Yeah, spoiler.
spoiler? Okay.
Yeah.
So when Man Thing kills Eve 6 there, the kill with her,
Yeah.
it's so
Veruca Salt?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's the total opposite of everything
Veruca
else,
Balk?
right?
Yeah.
Veruca Balk.
It's such
Awesome.
it's such a mind blowing moment, and this one is a in your face effect that I almost feel like people are gonna remember the whole thing being that way, even
Yeah.
if it's kind of like
Who did
it's
he do
kinda
it
like
to
you
first,
show
though?
you show
Did
us,
he do
you
it to the big guy first?
I don't remember.
There was another one that he took out the
Does it
same way
twice?
first.
I don't know.
One of the hunters. Wasn't it the big guy?
I think. No.
No?
Yeah, no, it was.
Was it
It was. He did it. That
Doug
was. He
Jones?
grabbed his
Not
head.
Doug-
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He
I
grabbed
thought
He
it.
reached out behind and from behind and grabbed his head.
Yeah.
And like, I felt like he ripped it off, but it,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think
No,
See,
I think it
but-
started to
but-
disintegrate and melt.
But that's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. You already remember this, and it's probably more gory in your head than
Than
it
it-
is
yeah.
if you go back and look at it. It's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of thing, where they end this special with such a big, glorious kill. Younger people are going to remember thinking the whole thing was gory, and they're probably going to
Yeah.
remember seeing more of the transformation because the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, bloodiest movie ever, right?
Yeah,
There's
no
2 drops of blood in that whole film. But everybody remembers it
Well,
because
you know
the ending is so powerful. And I think that's kind of what you're going to get with this.
That makes sense. I wasn't even thinking about the man thing kills, but I remember thinking while I was watching it, I wonder if they're going to show him like burn somebody to ash.
Yeah.
And then they did, and I was like, oh, good for you, Marvel.
Delivered.
Yeah.
They delivered right away.
I was like, all right,
Well,
cool.
and like Tito was saying about the, you know, the film, the different types of audiences and how audiences nowadays like are ready for all the gore right in your face. It's kind of like that with just society in general. Like people in society in general are just lazy. They want everything for like, you know, just fed straight up. Like, you know, put everything out in front of me.
Yeah, do the work for me.
Yeah, and it's. I hope that this is a trend, the start of a new trend, because, you know, it should be like it used to be, where you had to use your imagination, because kids don't use their imagination anymore.
No.
they don't. They you know, just take what they're given and
You
and
wouldn't
go with that.
understand, Dad. You're not with it. I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with isn't it, and what's it seems weird and scary to
And
me.
you know, to have to fill in those blanks, like you said, Mark. You know, and like you just said, you remember it. Everybody that way. Everybody remembers it a different way. You all have different reactions and memories of what you saw, and I think that makes for a more interesting film going experience.
Absolutely.
You know,
I think we are kind of going back that way, though. It began with effects. Practical effects are back.
are coming back. Yeah.
You said so in the latest Star Wars show, I believe.
Oh, Andor. They're using practical
They're starting
sets.
using
Yep.
practical effects again.
and sets.
You can only push a computer so far to do until
Yeah.
you're desensitized to it. At some point, the band's going to snap back, and we're going to go back to practical effects and inventive ways of filming that don't rely on all that in your face, doing the work for you. You know, and I think that it's going to continue that way for a while, because you can only go so far.
Yeah.
One way. You know, it goes one way, it goes the other way too.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Clarence
Yep.
Worley,
Yeah,
True Romance.
Clarence Worley, yeah. There's got to be I think there's some good balance out there of the practical and I mean, Jurassic Park is probably the greatest example of that ever. Using the technology in the right way. Like, we can't do this any other way.
Yeah.
Right.
But we can build a fucking Triceratops and show that shit to you. And,
Yeah.
and it's perfect.
Give
You
the
know, it
actor
gives you that-
something real to play
Yeah, to
off.
play off
Exactly.
with instead
Yeah.
of the fucking hanging tennis ball on a string.
Yeah.
usually.
Yeah, and that Tyrannosaur wasn't a CGI Tyrannosaur 100% of the time either.
No.
They
No,
actually
right,
had
right. They had
an
an
animatronic
Yeah.
puppet
It was done just right. CGI is a tool. It should not be your main medium.
to enhance it.
And if it's done right, everything looks phenomenal. If it's just all CGI, the audience knows. Everybody knows. Even it could be the best CGI in the world, and there's still a part of you that says this isn't real. That's not there.
Yeah.
Well, look how far they've come with like CGI characters.
Yeah.
Like actual characters.
But you can
we
still
we
kinda
still
see it.
nitpick over
Yeah.
how, you know, the Hulk looks and
Yeah.
how She-Hulk looks
or
and
Peter
how
Cushing
Sonic.
in Rogue One.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's a perfect example.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And in that same movie, you had like Peter Cushing looked fantastic.
Yeah.
But Leia looked terrible.
Well,
it was
yeah.
That's
you know?
right. There was layer
Like
at
the
the end,
difference
at the
between
end of that.
you know, and you know that both of those were fully CGI, but clearly like one outshines the other.
Yeah.
The other, you know.
But there's
Smooth
still
surfaces, it's
that
the
what they
smooth
call the
surfaces.
uncanny valley. That's
Yeah.
still, you know, you're looking at it. It's like, wow, that looks
Something's not
amazingly
quite
like
right.
him. But yeah, it's not
Yeah.
100%. You know, something's off.
yeah.
Yeah.
A guy in a monster suit is still more real than
Oh,
the
yeah.
best CGI Godzilla movie. Doesn't make it a better movie, but when you're looking at a guy in a Godzilla suit,
Yeah.
that's actually there, and there's
It's
a part
tangible.
of you that's going to accept that more.
Yeah.
The
You
lighting
know.
is right.
Yeah, it doesn't
You know,
mean it's going to make
there's
the
something
movie
for you
better.
to
but-
react off of. And
Cool. All right, so closing out. What do you want to before we get to the main course? Closing out on this, where do you want to go from here with Werewolf by Night in general? Where would you like to see this
I
go?
want to see Midnight Suns. I want. Or
Yeah, I'm with Derek.
One of those groups. I want Elsa to start like building her team of hunters, and hooking up team up kind of things with him, and him and Ted doing their thing, and maybe bring in some more characters on their end. There's a whole new, a whole separate world. They've done a good job of this phase right now of Marvel is exploring a lot more of space, and I think that shifting into the monster side of Marvel is a good move to kind of balance it out.
Cool.
You get rid of Tony Stark. Tony Stark dies. Cap's gone.
Yep.
And you kind of lose those two pieces that tie it all together,
There's a
which
big
I think
void.
is kind of a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it could allow you the opportunity to span off into this
Yeah.
new world.
Yeah, and explore
where,
other stuff.
And they've done it a lot. They've brought in some, lesser known or unknown characters.
Yeah.
In even in the first, not phase, but the first, second, third phase, whatever, before the Infinity, the Infinity Saga.
before Endgame.
Yeah, and so I think that I'm so glad that it worked out, that this was as good as it is, because it really does just add more fuel to the argument that these lesser known characters and these directors that have a huge passion for whatever genre they're making or whatever characters they're dealing with is the way to go. You have to start trusting these lesser known characters and not depending so heavily on the original 6 Avengers.
Right.
Or
I'm okay with, though, if I never see Jack Russell, Man-Thing, or Blade in some huge saga.
Yeah.
As long as they have their stories that are continuing
Yeah.
on into something else.
Yep.
I don't need to see Daredevil with the whole gang going up against Kang. I don't know that I necessarily need to see any of that stuff. I'm happy, you did the Infinity stuff, which culminated into this huge epic film, which is amazing. You're not going to replicate that.
No.
Not without Downey and not without Chris Evans.
Yeah.
It's just not happening.
and you've already done the big battlefield full of
so
all
I'm cool
the
with this
characters.
extra stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to culminate, but I would like to see, if you're going to introduce these characters, they introduce Blade's voice at the end of
Eternal.
the Eternals, and I'm like, I don't know that I need Blade in this world.
No.
I don't need Blade with you guys. I don't
Yeah.
need Blade with the Black Knight necessarily.
Well, he has a connection in the comics with the Black Knight. That's the problem. Because the blade, the actual sword.
Oh, the sword that he has. Okay.
So, I mean,
my connection with Black Knight is West Coast Avengers stuff, though. So when I put Blade and that together, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come off as, and I haven't seen how they do the Black Knight yet. So it could be this very dark, kind of cool character that they've created. And if it works, it works. Send them off into their own world and let them do their thing and do the specials.
Keep them away from the Eternals, because the Eternals is a different tone.
If they want to go to space, let all those people go to space and keep the horror shit in the back alleys.
Yep.
In Hell's Kitchen or whatever. I'd even be cool with Daredevil mixing it up in there somewhere.
I'm going to chime
would like
in,
to see
and I'm going to
Dark
agree with you
Stalkers
100%, Tito. I would be fine with this this Werewolf by Night special sort of being the stepping stone for an entire new universe. I don't need it to cross into the MCU. I don't. I know where the MCU is. I know there's multiverses and all this, the ways you can do it, but I don't need to see any of it. I'd like to see, the way they brought in Man-Thing. I'd like to see more of these monsters.
Yeah.
I don't even care if there's 2 Hulks. I would love to see a Hulk brought into this world and be have it be treated like the immortal Hulk.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
Did you see the picture I sent you?
Oh God.
that screenshot of all the heads mounted on the wall. One of them,
Maestro.
one of them looked like
Yeah.
Maestro. They ended up doing a close up, and it looked more like a Sasquatch. But I was like, did these guys kill Maestro?
But you know what? That'd be fine too. If this is a new realm to discover, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
I don't need to be reminded. If you want to bring Doctor Strange into
Well,
this,
that's where I was going to go.
that's
Because
kind of cool.
Mark,
wait, let me finish. Hold on.
Let me finish. And all of the cigars can now be heard. Okay. I've not fucking
But
finished.
I don't need to see any more Wanda or Vision or Hawk. I don't need to see any of these. They've got their world.
Yeah.
Even if it does connect, keep them in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
I want to know more of what's going on this side.
No, I agree. I don't think we need to have a Hawkeye or somebody like that in this universe. But somebody like Doctor Strange would fit perfectly.
Right.
Yeah.
Bring in him.
Yeah.
Because this is what he deals with. He deals with the supernatural. He deals with the creepy, dark underbelly.
Absolutely. And bring in Moon Knight. That's since
bring in Moon Knight,
exactly.
because Moon Knight was introduced originally in Werewolf by
That's
Night
right.
in the
You're
comics.
talking Midnight Suns and I'm cool with Mephisto, fucking
Seriously.
Ghost Rider, being
Yes.
part of this
Well,
I didn't even
kind
think
of
of Ghost
universe.
Because there's
Yeah.
a huge
See?
difference between the rest of the characters. I mean, the main Avengers and MCU is about these extraterrestrial threats,
Right.
these huge threats to humanity in general.
Yeah.
Whereas monsters or whatever, all these creatures that they kind of hint around about, that exist and that these guys hunt.
Yeah.
They're clearly not that big of a threat because the Avengers haven't had to deal with them. And, so they're kind of like police that deal with a special kind of criminal. It's like NCIS Supernatural or something.
Yeah, right.
But
Or they have the group, the Howling Commandos. Where they're all monsters.
yeah, so I mean, it's like I think that's a good way to go with it. I mean, you don't have to bring in anybody else because they're busy. They're saving them from us from bigger problems.
Exactly.
But we still need to be saved from these problems, and these are the guys that do it.
Plus, the style of the already existing MCU is for the most part more lighthearted and comedic, and this really wasn't.
No.
And I would like this universe to continue,
I
much
know.
like the Netflix universe. Jessica
There's a little bit of
Jones
cheeky humor,
would be
but
great.
like,
but
Yeah.
it wasn't
not in your throat.
every
Yeah, it wasn't-
seconds.
No.
Every few seconds, it was. So bring in Jessica Jones, bring in the gritty, bring in the dark side to this. The MCU can still go on doing its thing, but
Well, you keep saying the
some-
MCU. This is
or
all the
whatever,
MCU, but you don't want the Avengers.
Thank you.
You don't want the. This is all the MCU.
All the stuff that's tying into the
Yeah.
MCU or whatever it's called.
well, like
Forgive me.
when Endgame came out, I remember how like everybody was kind of like, oh yeah, but it would have been so much cooler if the Fantastic Four showed up and the X-Men. Like I wanted to see them all on one screen, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that's kind of like our MCU fan goal was
Yeah.
to see everybody at once.
Yes.
But it's like you have a good size roster of characters that deal with the dark arts or demons and supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
That are their own kind of separate thing in Marvel, and that's what they should do. They should focus. If you want to like have crossovers, great, but you don't need them from that side because it gets too crowded. So having all of these people in with that stuff just wouldn't fit right, and and vice versa. Like throwing Captain America in one of these stories would be dumb.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't work.
You know,
Yeah.
the only way I could
colors.
see that working is if like it was a story about the Nazis and him trying to make a supernatural army like Hellboy.
Well,
they've already done that. They've done Hellboy.
Red Skull would kind of fit into it, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
But we're talking red, white, and
But
blue
I mean, like Blade,
versus
Ghost Rider,
Dark
like you
Shadows
said,
and
Mephisto, like anything from hell.
Dracula.
and any,
I mean, wasn't Dracula?
Well, how
Marvel
about
character?
Doctor Doom? Wasn't he like involved with the dark arts too?
He should
He's
be.
He was kind
studies
of a
the dark
sorcerer.
arts,
Yeah, there's heroes and villains that fit the tone of this
Yeah.
world that you can use. Is basically
Yeah,
Just
what
like
we're
Doctor-
trying to-
You've
like
got to
Doctor
pick and
Strange
choose.
Yeah.
You can't,
Scarlet
like I said,
Witch.
you can't have Hawkeye. You
No,
can't
I
have
don't need.
Iron Man.
I don't need Hawkeye. I don't need Thor. I don't
Yeah.
need anybody in this world.
Yeah.
You got that world. This is something new, and I wanted to.
And I think they've proved they didn't need to put someone like there was talk about is Blade going to show up in this? Mm-hmm. And they didn't need to. This was strong enough on its own without any help from anybody. So you don't even need like the people that can cross over, like Doctor Strange or Scarlet Witch. You don't need them showing up in something like this.
And also, just from an audience point of view, it'd be nice to start off fresh where you don't have to see everything else. I mean, with everything, pretty much anything on Disney Marvel right now, it helps to see the other thing, which is why my wife won't get on board with half of them because she hasn't seen half of them and she doesn't know what the hell's going on. But to start fresh again and continue a universe where you don't have to see Infinity War or Endgame or any of the shows on Disney Plus, that's an advantage as well. So we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
Werewolf by Night. Anything else? Anybody else have anything to say before we dive into the main course?
Other than the fact that I want to see more of it, and I hope that there's another Halloween special next year with more of this universe.
I can't wait for Halloween. I want it now.
Yeah.
Give it to me now.
And if the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special is anything like this, a nice self-contained little story.
I'm hoping it's
that's coming up.
I'm hoping it's going to be more like the Star Wars Christmas special.
Oh God,
I loved it.
You want some Life Day? you like the Star? Like,
I do. I
genuinely like the Star Wars
genuinely
holiday?
like it.
Wouldn't that be awesome if in the Guardians of the Galaxy one they had like an animated section in the middle that introduced?
Oh, that would be
That
great.
would be so awesome.
a weird new character.
We'll finally see Adam Warlock. It'll be
There you go.
That's how they're going to do it.
That's what I mean. Introduce a weird new
him.
character.
That rubbery, stretchy animation. Oh, absolutely.
So the big one, the main course.
Are we ready for the main course?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
We must.
So while they was eating walking to gingerbread from her house, she walked out with a big smile and craftily approaching the children said,
"Come into my house, children, and I'll give you candy and ice cream and pickled herring and sweet and sour upside-down cake and hard-boiled all-day suckers."
That's gut, ja? Ja, ist gut. Und schief ist und wisst bei. Ja, schief ist. Go, ja? Ja, go.
Puzzle boxes, when solved, will show you a sight. The Hellraiser reboot is on tap for tonight. Creatures with chains that have young people wailing. And the lead girl who looks like both Jon Stewart and Van Halen. Like remakes of Freddy, we've new Cenobites to explore. Off topic, Freddy, you know, once killed Zsa Zsa Gabor. When in the dark, the monsters look truly fantastic. In the light, all the monsters look made up of plastic. There's slaughter that will make your blood boil and blister. And one man is getting the supreme nipple twister. And also his mouth stretches wider and wider. That's torture, like Brian watching a film by Zack Snyder. Is it good? Is it great? Or simply the pits? We're talking new Hellraiser or Pinhead with tits.
I wish the studio audience could have saw your eyes. You said pits.
Tits or tits? Okay.
No, when you ended it, you were like,
Well, I almost went with the shits.
that rhymes too.
But I thought it would be a little too obvious. So,
Good job.
Nice.
who would like to start this one?
I want you to.
Huh?
Start it.
You want me to
Yeah.
start this one?
I get ready to. I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
I was incredibly disappointed with this movie. I was flat out bored. I thought there was, as we have said before, there is a good movie in there somewhere, and there were parts of it that I thought were okay, but I, for the most part, did not care for this at all. I thought female Pinhead looked great. I thought she sounded great. I thought she was wasted in this. I also did not like the way the Cenobites interacted with people. I was not a fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street style way that they stalked their victims with images and visions first. Hellraiser, you open the box, the Cenobites come, you're going to hell. That's the way it's always been. That's what makes them frightening.
Yeah, they got a barter system in this movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they don't hang around and let you figure out who they are or who the box is or how things happen. They don't have the time. You're coming to hell one way or another. These guys kind of hang out in the hallway. My favorite saying, they're just like literally you see them hanging out in the hallway
Getting stuck in the doors.
Tons of talking from characters I could give a shit about.
I know.
All these kids are awful. They're unappealing. There's no character to them. There's nothing remotely nice or sympathetic about any of them.
It's like Black Christmas.
Kind of.
Right?
Kind of, actually. But, there wasn't... It just wasn't fun. I mean, I know we're starting a whole new lore, and it's a reboot, and one of my friends did say, well, maybe the Cenobites act different in this one because we're starting a new lore, and that's fine, but it's not one I like. I don't like the Cenobites doing this whole, they're there 1 minute. Oh, no, they're not. That's slasher shit, and I love my slasher shit, but I don't love it in my Hellraiser series. What separated Hellraiser from the Freddys and the Jasons, or that they were just more direct especially in the first couple movies. They showed up, they spoke poetically, and then they took you to hell, and it was that simple, and that's all you needed. So I was overall highly disappointed with this. The Cenobites, I wasn't even crazy about the designs. Excluding Pinhead, I thought she was remarkable. But the other Cenobites I didn't think were that great.
What about the one that looked like a nun?
I didn't like
with
it.
The skin nun?
Yeah, I didn't like it. I did like how they tried to design more of the Hellbound heart, where it was not the fetish leather was removed and they were all skin and muscle. That was cool, but wasted. They weren't menacing. And up close in the light, they looked like they were made of plastic. That wasn't just a clever line in this stupid poem I wrote. They looked like Spirit of Halloween figures come to life. And so I was looking forward to this. I really liked the trailer, but I was let down. So that's me. Next.
I thought it was a phenomenal film. I love the part when Man-Thing showed up. and set everybody on fire. Dude, I hit play on this movie and I was like, 2 hours? No Hellraiser.
Yes.
I've only seen 3 and 4. Don't ask how. But I'm like, no, I don't think any Hellraiser movie is supposed to be 2 hours long.
No. And that was another thing I forgot to mention. Way too long. Go ahead.
And then it was like, it's so slow that as I was watching, and I was like, where could I cut a half hour?
Mm-hmm.
And then I couldn't figure out where to cut the half hour because it was just all kind of dragging.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, I guess you could lose a scene everywhere. The main character, that girl, she is the least sympathetic character I've ever seen in a horror film.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, kill that junkie.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Like she ruined everybody's life today.
Yeah.
She's a mess of a human being.
Yeah.
And not very good as an
not
actress.
that good. And you get so when the movie starts and you get the kid, he solves the box, he gets ripped away immediately, and I was like, oh shit. And then that doesn't happen at all throughout. Even
rest of the
her
movie.
brother.
Yeah.
What I thought was kind of cool, and we were just talking about something that did this really, really well, was how they weren't showing you things. They didn't show you what happened to the brother. He was just gone.
Mm-hmm.
They showed you like the blood coming out of the sink, and then he just disappears. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, this is kind of interesting that they're not really showing you a lot of stuff. Outside of that first scene, I thought it was going to be like fucking blood everywhere after that first scene. And I like that actor.
Voight.
Yeah,
I am
the
going to
guy
say
who plays Voight. I
the
thought he was
opening
really, really
was
good.
great, and I thought it was going to center more on him.
Mm-hmm.
I loved. Do I get a prize if I solve this? I do.
Yeah.
That's
right.
phenomenal writing.
Yeah.
And no wonder they used that for the trailer because it was the only amount of phenomenal writing.
Yeah.
Other than when female Pinhead just regurgitates what the original Pinhead says.
Yeah.
The rest of it is all fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck.
You fuck you.
Okay, come on,
screaming.
come on.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I thought the woman that played the lawyer was really, really good.
She was all right.
She was okay.
The
She
was
scenes that
okay.
she was in, I think she has that like throwback feel to me though, from that like '90s style horror.
Yeah.
Of, like,
Yeah.
how she was playing it.
Well, she was the outfit she was wearing is an exact replica of
Kirsty.
Kirsty when
Kirsty.
she's not Kirsty.
Not Kirsty. Julia?
Julia.
Oh, see, I
Right?
didn't even notice.
When Julia's going to try to get get people for him to.
Oh, I missed that. Was she
for
sporting
Frank
the
to
yellow
kill
shirt and the?
I forget what she was
So I
wearing.
remember
but I remember reading.
Claire-
I read that it was like the same. They used the
style.
same exact attire for the
Yeah.
first time she went out to go hunt for him.
I mean, I'm not super familiar. Again, I've seen 3, I've seen 4. I'm working backwards. I'll probably never see it again, but I didn't mind it.
Cool.
Yeah,
Brian?
it is what it is.
Yeah, I agree. I wasn't that thrilled with it. I thought every character was unappealing. Every character was annoying. From the lead, like you said, the junkie, her brother, who supposedly cared for her but did nothing but yell at her, and his boyfriend was even more annoying, and their boring roommate that like had absolutely no personality. None of them.
She had an accent though.
They all kind of had accents.
I think she was British though. I
Yeah.
think she had a British accent.
The only one that
You're
kind
telling
of had
me
a
British people can be boring?
From the Encyclopaedia Britannica, 11th edition. Recording by Peter Yearsley. Convolvulaceae. A botanical natural order belonging to the series Tubiflorae of the sympetulous group of dicotyledons.
Name an example.
No, that's where the personality comes from.
The only one that kind of had a personality was the one Voight, played by Goran Vizhiznik, or whatever his name is.
That's
from
a great name. Is it
Practical
really
Magic.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
No, it
Yeah,
was
he
good.
Angelov.
And
in
also
Practical Magic.
wasted. Also
and he was
wasted.
also on ER, I believe, too,
Yes,
for a
he
while.
was, yeah, after Clooney left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good actor.
His
and
scenes, like he was like definitely a shining star.
I,
in this movie.
I did like what they ultimately transformed him to at the end. I thought that was really cool.
Well, even the thing that was in his chest.
Yes,
like
that was neat too. Yes, you wanted what did he?
It was like tightening his nerves.
His nerves. He
Yeah.
wanted. Oh, that's
To the
right. He
point
prayed
where-
for sensation.
Yes.
So they put that device like through his back and into his chest, and it was
Yep.
like it kept like pulling his nerves. And he said,
just to
the point
enough where he wouldn't get numb.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
See, I thought it was going to end up being another Chenard situation like in Hellraiser 2, when the doctors turned into a Cenobite to basically wipe out Pinhead
Yeah.
and the existing Cenobites.
Yeah.
That's where I thought they were
Yeah.
going with that.
Mhm.
Well,
It's not
essentially
clear.
he is changed to a Cenobite by
Right.
but-
Who I guess if they do another one, and this would be great if they did that, made him kind of again like Dr. Chenard, a sort of rogue Cenobite, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was
I
a
don't
little.
care.
I was a little bored with the Cenobites, other than Pinhead, the Hell Priest.
Yeah.
Priestess. I liked her, but yeah, they did nothing. They did absolutely nothing. You're right. They stood around.
And I mean, to be fair,
To be fair.
and I mean, to be fair, so did the Cenobites in the other movies, but they at least pursued, they moved, they uttered words, they looked menacing.
They looked more menacing.
Right?
I don't know if it's because they were dressed in black, even though it was like fetish gear.
Well, there
you
was
know?
the fetish gear. You had Butterball with the sunglasses. The female Cenobite in that one is walking and, you know, carving the hook to the wall.
Yeah.
The fucking blood's dripping from the wall while she's doing. I don't know. It was just there was more style to them.
Yeah.
They had more style, more of an
Yeah.
edge, and these just looked like really good cosplayers.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. I mean, you know, female Pinhead looked awesome, but didn't do much. The rest of them just looked like really good cosplaying.
So is that one of those things? Because again, I didn't see one, but
You should
my
probably see
my
one.
understanding is that Pinhead is like this great character that came out of a nothing part.
Yes. I mean,
right? Like he's not in much of the film.
No, he's not in much of the film. He wasn't
The
meant to be
original?
the main attraction in the
Yeah.
movie. It was supposed to be Julia and Frank. In the book, the Cenobites are sort of actually to be. Oh, I almost said it.
Well, to be fair. To be fair.
If
What
I
were you gonna
may,
say?
I'm not going to say anything. In the book, the Hellbound Heart, the Cenobites, if I remember, are in the background and do stand around a lot, but. If you're following up just a franchise of movies with Cenobites that are just as awesome, you can go different, but don't go back to basics and boring. And I think that's what they did. They still need to be more appealing and a little more.
Well, the whole time I was watching the movie, I was like, well, this Pinhead character's not doing a lot, but I think I remember hearing that he didn't do a lot in the first one.
Yeah.
So then it was like, okay, well, they're all kind of. The
Well,
most
in
exciting
3, he
part for
does
me
the
was when the
massacre in the
Chatter
club.
guy came out. I was like, oh, it's the guy with the teeth.
Yeah.
That's so hilarious.
Who she kills.
She kills, yeah.
And why I missed this part, because I was droning in it.
Because they needed somebody to sacrifice. So she stabs him with
so the
with
coolest
puzzle.
looking one. You could have taken
And that
any
leads
of
into
those
the
other
plan of like trying to get another one to kill so they don't have to
Oh, well.
It was there.
It's-
Oh, you
Brian, you
have
got
something
more?
to say about this movie?
I do.
Let's hear
Okay.
it.
Are you done?
You all done, Brian?
Yeah,
Okay,
no.
Derek, bring it on.
I've said what I was going to say.
I liked it.
All right.
I didn't hate it.
Stand your
I didn't
ground.
love it, but I like. It's one of those movies that I'm sure look better on paper. That opening scene was fantastic. It like that's what the movie should have been more of.
Yeah.
I am bummed that they didn't like. If you're gonna reboot it right. Redo that story. You know, you've got it's the Hellbound Heart is a great story, and the big complaint was that they didn't really Hellraiser really didn't do it justice. Okay, well then do it justice.
Yeah.
But instead they just went with this whole different storyline with this female that she sucked, like you said, which it didn't really bother me that none of them were appealing because you're watching them all
Right.
be
You're
tortured.
rooting for the Cenobites.
Yeah.
Basically.
Which I think is like, I mean, everybody roots for the Cenobites in general. Even I'm sure that there's been I haven't seen the entire series, but I'm sure that they've had great characters that are so you're supposed to root for, and people still root for the Cenobites.
Yeah.
'cause
Well,
it's
I mean,
Cenobites.
in the first two movies, you're not rooting for the Cenobites.
No.
You don't root for the Cenobites because they're not in it enough to root for.
But I
You
think
you
this
deal
one-
with Julia and Frank, and you're rooting for Kirsty.
Yeah.
Based on what I've seen from the which ones I've seen, I feel like they did a good job in this one with making it like what their deal is and what their purpose is, and the whole pleasure pain aspect and like I think that they did okay with that. I liked some of. I mean, there was some of the writing that was good. I mean, story wise, I liked the design of the boxes. I liked that they had different formations.
Yes.
That was a
The
question
different
I had. Is that
configurations.
something
And the
that typically doesn't happen? No.
I've never seen one in a different shape.
I've seen it turn into a spear, and I've seen it turn into a square. That little cubic hourglass-looking thing
Yeah.
I've never seen
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
I think that was cool.
And I liked that.
But I didn't know that the box was called the Lament configuration.
Oh, yeah.
From the first one.
Yeah.
And
But it
I
was
didn't realize that they had
because it
like
was the they
they had different names
liked,
for
that
each
was one of the things I
configuration.
liked.
And each one began with L too.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Love, you know,
Look at this guy paying attention.
loss.
I was trying to get something out of this movie.
No, I mean, I just think that.
Oh, little details. I'll go into that.
I feel like the problem is that. So, I want to say that it feels like it was trying to be a deeper film than the others in the series, but it came off more pretentious because of that, and so they didn't really do that right. There's a way to make it deeper, and without. I think if they'd changed the story a little bit, but kept those things they wanted to go deeper on, then it might have been a little bit better.
That's an interesting
But
point.
definitely the series, from what I've seen, seems like the type of series that's supposed to be a little bit, deeper.
Like
as
the
opposed
books
to a
are a
Freddy
lot more involved, and there's a whole
Yeah.
like lore behind it. I liked when they were breaking that down with like, like when her choice to not bring her brother back in the end. She's choosing to live with the guilt and with which is another form of pain in their eyes, and that's why she gets the lament configuration, because that stands for
sorrow.
For sorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Or
like
grief.
I like that. I like that. Like they have a lot of good ideas in this film.
Yeah.
I just wish they had
Yeah,
executed
and even
it a little bit
safest choice is still like living with
and
pain, living with that pain for the
But
rest
I
of your
feel like
life.
you could come to that conclusion
still
without
cool.
it being 2 hours long, because there was just a lot of droning on.
What they
and,
should have done was
stuff.
cut out a lot of the stuff with you didn't have to include a roommate.
No.
Get rid they could have cut down a lot of the characters.
Right. Well, it
Because
became a
especially-
slasher thing because
Well,
there
no, but
were
especially because they
so
didn't.
many characters.
They
Seven
didn't.
deaths.
If you're not going to have like gruesome, in your face Hellraiser deaths, then there's no reason we have to have a huge body count.
Agreed.
These are wasted deaths.
Yep.
If you're not going to give an audience like what they kind of expected to see, and you want to make it more story driven, then fine. Get rid of all that crap. Combine what you've got, like squish it down and make it more concise, and you could have they could have done a lot with it. If it was just the boyfriend, the girl, and the brother and his boyfriend, or even without the boyfriend, just the brother, you have a lot you could have done to move the story along the same way, and still set up that new lore that you're trying to do.
That's a good point.
You don't get something really. You don't get another really interesting attempt at a kill, I think, until the bar. I don't know if it's barbed wire. It's just like the wire wraps around the other boyfriend.
Wrap around the other boyfriend.
And his arms, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of
starts
cool.
peeling his skin back.
Yeah, off his arm. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's sick. But you don't really see anything that interesting throughout the entirety of the film, because everything's either just chains or you're an off camera.
Although I did like they had some really cool shots when the Weeper was changing.
Which one's the Weeper?
The Weeper's the
Oh, I
black
saw
one
that
with the black tears and the
Yeah.
black eyes.
Oh, does it look kind of like
And
a
she-
robot? There was one
No.
that pulled the thing out of it.
I know what you're talking about, but I
Oh,
don't think
yes.
that's what he is. That
Yeah,
is that
she,
the Weeper?
yeah, she pulls something out of her eye. I remember that.
Okay.
The and sticks it through.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The throat, and then you see the inside of the throat. Yeah,
But the Weeper has this thing where she ends up, her body kind of shifts and changes into something else when she they're all kind of doing that stand around thing that was boring. And then when she starts to move, like her hands split. So there's two fingers
Oh yes.
and two fingers.
Yeah,
you remember?
Yeah.
That was
It
kind
looked
of
like
cool.
tentacles or whatever. 'cause
Yeah, it was like her
yeah,
body,
split down.
she
Yeah.
ripped apart and kind of became even more gruesome.
You know what's weird? It reminded me of, this is dumb, Ulysses Claw in
Oh,
Black
yes.
Panther.
Yes.
When his hand
absolutely.
opens up and the fucking thing comes out. I was like, oh, she's doing a Ulysses Claw.
Yeah, she's Sonic.
So I mean, yeah, it had a lot of potential, and it just
Vibranium.
it just didn't deliver it, and it put too much garbage in there.
No,
And,
unneeded filler.
Yeah.
There was just a lot of unneeded filler, and you don't need that in these kind of movies. You don't need a 2-hour Hellraiser.
No.
Again, Hellraiser strikes me as what is an attempt at a sophisticated version of horror.
Yeah.
Not, again, I haven't seen them all.
Well, I
but
mean,
based on what I hear
classier,
and what I
yeah.
like, classier.
You've
just like
got
this
you've
more,
got the well. They did keep the score in there, the Christopher Young score, which in
Mm-hmm.
the original is phenomenal, and the music in the, especially early Hellraiser films, are awesome. There is a very epic feel to the Hellraiser movie.
Or it flirts the line between like crazy gory and more of this. One of my favorites, elevated kind of horror. Like it's kind of split down the middle.
Well,
or
okay,
attempting
so
to have that.
The first movie and the second movie, again, epic fantasy. There's you're leading into the labyrinth of the Leviathan. You see Leviathan in part 2, and then in part 3, for whatever reason, it kind of turns, and Pinhead slowly becomes a more of a slasher kind of.
Yeah.
Right. He's the focal point. He's just the monster.
There's a little more humor and
that
goofiness.
kills,
It starts to turn him into like Freddy Krueger.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And
Although
those are fun movies
my
to
favorite.
watch. Those are fun to watch, but definitely not as classy as the first two. And this one did the same thing. It was picking off kids one by one. Younger. I mean, I'm assuming they're kids. I don't know how the hell else they're supposed to be. When I was young, I watched these, and it was all adults getting into the whole horror genre, into the whole Hellraiser genre. It wasn't it wasn't a cast of teenagers or whatever getting picked
these are
off
like
one by
college
one.
kids maybe.
Well, because back in the day, people looked at
That's
it as,
true, and that's
as
what I mean.
Kids didn't deserve to die. Nowadays, we're like, yeah, that teenager's an annoying little punk. Kill him.
So for all I know, Julia in the first movie could have been 20. She sure didn't look it, but I don't remember when I was a kid. Everybody looked older.
And another thing I liked
was more adult.
Was the idea that you could like kind of pass the buck. I know you don't really like you know. Tito brought up the barter system that they had in this. I kind of like that, but I like the way that it works in this, and where it opens up the doors for a lot of cool things you could do. Where and it's a perfect example of what happens in the end, where she decides that he's this asshole lured us all here.
Yeah,
I choose him.
And then, again, there's too many ways out, and the whole thing about the box and what makes it frightening, and the way you get frightened in a movie when you see that box show up is that anybody that opens it is screwed. And if there's these ways out, if there's these loopholes, it makes it less terrifying for me.
Yeah.
My big complaint is that it's always been so easy to solve the box.
Yeah,
but at least at least with this, they adding
and,
more configurations. You're not truly solving it until you've gone through. That's
I did
the
like
big
that
thing.
the levels of the box.
So you don't get what you want. Like someone who knows what it is,
right?
Like what's his name? Like
Voight.
He knows what is the final configuration that he needs to get you to get what he is ultimately desiring.
Yeah, and that's the Leviathan configuration.
So, but he knows that he needs to get through all the other steps, and that they're going to show up at each turn. That's to me that's genius. That's the idea of all right, you have to go through so many people, and questioning the type of person that would do that. Now this was one person, but the idea that you can have, how would other people react? How would other types of people
react? Exactly.
Who deserves this type of punishment versus a totally innocent I mean, because there really wasn't any innocent that died in this movie.
The roommate was probably the most innocent. And maybe the boyfriend.
Yeah.
Because he was just looking for the junkie's brother,
Yeah.
Like Tito said, they were just along for the ride. They were just caught up in this. They had no idea the bigger thing going on. Innocent or not, I still found them annoying, and I was rooting for the Cenobites.
I was rooting for the crocodile.
Yeah,
eats your friends.
But the configurations after the lament configuration is the lore configuration, and then you've got the Laudrant. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Laudrant, and then liminal. And then the Lazarus, and then the Leviathan configuration. But what did you guys think of the change that they added to this one with the blade that comes out and stabs you?
I didn't care really.
No,
I like that because it's like, all right,
you've been tagged by the box.
Deal.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a blood oath. Each new configuration requires a blood sacrifice, and that just kind of adds to it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, and especially with how it plays out.
Because that was never in any of the other ones, was it? Again, I only saw up to number 4.
Yeah,
but
I don't remember.
I don't know.
I've seen up till Hellworld, which I believe is 7 or 8. So,
and there was no blade that came out.
I honestly don't remember.
I do like that the Cenobites require as powerful as they are, as much damage as they can do in this film. They need at least one person to kind of make it all work for them to start this process. And so I didn't mind the back and forth per se with them popping up in shadows.
They
and
have a
things like
code
that.
and they have a certain set of rules that they
That's
have
the
to follow.
Hell's Commandments. Yeah.
Well, and I love that they in order to become a Cenobite, they clearly had to go through something similar, like Voight did at the end.
Yeah.
So it's like,
but I mean, if you're gonna do it that
And
way,
even the
then-
original Pinhead, they showed his origin too.
Yeah.
You know, how
but
he
it-
became who he became.
if you're gonna do that way, then you got to make the characters more interesting. So you want these Cenobites to hang around and wait because you just wanted them to get these guys because they all sucked.
Yeah.
You know, they were all. I didn't like any of them.
Yeah.
It's like, are they coming? When are they coming?
That probably bums me out the most. Again, I'm a heroes guy. I
Yeah.
like heroes, and I want to root for somebody.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity with that girl. I don't know. Maybe she doesn't need to be addicted to drugs or whatever. Or it just has this kind of selfish. It almost feels like she probably is gonna do it to them anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm looking for a Ripley.
It's like they were afraid to make her.
Yeah.
They were
Looking for
afraid
a
to make her.
Ripley.
Or looking for a
To make her
Kirsty.
come off as a
Yeah.
victim.
Yeah,
Or a
from
Joey.
the first one.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the movie, they didn't want to. It was like they were afraid to say that she's feel bad for this girl, because everything nowadays you have to make every female character the strong person who has faults but is still strong.
Yeah, but I'd take a strong personality over no personality.
No, but I mean,
this is
if they had made her be a little fragile, maybe she, not necessarily a drug addict, but if she was staying with her brother because something terrible happened in her life and she, was trying to get over it.
Yeah.
And there was something to make you sympathize with her.
There's no way for me. I just didn't feel bad when
Yeah.
she leaves. When the brother, she says, "Oh, tell me to leave," and he tells her to get out, and she leaves, and it's like, okay, well, he's giving you a lot of chances. So
And guess what, dummy? You just asked him to tell you to leave.
I
So
know.
I mean, you should have stayed. I think she gets stronger as the film goes on and better, but she probably is even more of a drug addict than she was before the film started.
Yeah, she's gonna need a lot of therapy after this.
1 year later, she's
Yeah.
she's hopped up on all kinds of
Yeah,
goofballs.
I know.
1 year later,
Yeah,
she's not
a
clean.
mess.
She
stuck
doesn't
with this pain.
She doesn't own her own candle
That's her
business.
burden.
She's messed up.
She's a mess, and I don't know, I don't know any of these people. So, and the whoever was cast as her boyfriend, that character could have been really, really cool, but he's just this snivelly loser.
Yeah.
He's this good-looking dude that sucks.
Yeah.
He just
He's a
sucks.
douche.
He's not
Yeah.
even
Douche.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
They're
not
all
even,
interchangeable.
And then
He's
you
not
find out
even
that he's
kinda
working
cool.
for Voight. And
Yeah.
and then
he's not even
and then
kinda
last
cool,
minute
though.
they try to make him almost sympathetic.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
no,
but I
no, there's no redeeming arc for you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's like they realized their error and said, "Oh crap, we got to make one of these people likable."
Yeah.
I did like the house.
The house was
I
good.
liked
The
it.
house was
Design
cool.
of
The
House of
box.
Trap and
Yeah.
stuff.
On
I thought
the
that was
roof
cool.
was
I
Yeah.
always dig that
Yeah.
when they use a building as some type of shifting trap.
Yeah.
cage
Like in
thing
part
for-
4 when the spaceship turns into fucking
Yep,
I saw
absolutely.
that movie. There we go. We're
And that
finally
was
talking about something
there
I
you
know.
go, Tito. See, you matter. I can make sandwiches.
Should I fix you some sandwiches?
I don't want any fucking sandwiches. What is it with you fixing fucking sandwiches?
Okay.
You're absolutely right though, and it wasn't a 2-hour movie. So
Wow, yeah, cut that shit
no,
down.
Derek, you're bringing up some good points, and and again, all good ideas, but too far and just too in between.
Yeah.
And it's just too long, and there's really nothing. There's just not a lot of appeal.
That's
to
the
it.
thing, Derek, you've won me over a little bit. I'm still probably never going to see this movie again.
Yeah. So who recommends it, and who doesn't?
I recommend it. I mean, just it's if you've got 2 hours, but I mean, it's not. You don't expect much, and now we've warned you.
So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now is your chance to, well, we've warned you.
Just go in looking for what I said. Look for just look for that stuff.
Yeah.
Focus on that.
I'll
get too attached to these awful characters and.
I'll grit my teeth and recommend it, but only because I know there are a lot of Hellraiser fans out there that are more forgiving and
are probably completists that want to see all that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But personally, I just wouldn't expect too much. You need 2 hours out of the day. I don't recommend starting this at night.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much. And good luck to you, Tito.
I watched that at night. I didn't fall asleep.
Not for a good reason, by the way. He doesn't recommend it at night because you'll fall asleep.
I guess,
have nightmares.
if you're a fan of the series, I mean, watch it. If any series that's ever I've ever loved that did a reboot or a sequel or whatever, I'll watch it. I'm going to watch it. So if you're a fan of the series, I would say, yeah, why not? Again, I haven't seen that many of them, so.
You too.
When I think of like
Tito,
those
we gotta
style
fix
of
this.
movies, these like 90s style, 80s style of movies, where I think like, I'm thinking like, no, this movie can't be 2 hours because it comes from a time of the hour and a half and or
Absolutely.
less.
Yeah.
So when I see a reboot of something like this, I'm like, no, you got to scale it back. It can't be like this. But that's what everything is now.
Have you seen more of them? Like, because you've seen more of them, right?
The
Further down in
Hellraiser
the
films?
series.
The
Like,
Hellraiser
yeah,
movies?
like some of the really like the director.
Yeah, up to Hellworld, which is with Lance Henriksen, and I think it's part 7 or 8. I can't remember. Probably
Lance
part 8.
Henriksen.
How do those stack up to this?
It's so long, I honestly don't remember. I would probably
Because I feel
say,
like
a
a lot of those would be awful.
From a
movies.
so from a technological point of view, this would stand better. Yeah. Absolutely, especially when you're going from like number 6, Hellseeker on. I mean, I don't remember clearly, but I'm sure the effects don't hold up to par with what they're doing now. So, I probably I'm sure this stacks up better than those sequels. I will say that. I'm not. The sequels, honestly, after 4 for me are pretty forgettable anyway. So, it's not a good argument for me because that ranks right up there. This one ranks up with 5, 6, 7, and 8. This is, maybe better than Inferno, but not by much, which is 5. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, these reboots though, even the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot, Jackie Earle Haley seemed like I was like, what a great fucking casting.
I agree.
And that movie's not good.
No.
I didn't see the Friday the 13th remake.
I didn't.
I did, and it was who was it?
I
Was it-
rewatched it with Pritch about a month ago.
I know Jared
and
Padalecki's in
it
it.
was
It's not
better
too
than I
bad.
thought. It was better than I
Who played
thought.
Jason in that though?
I'm pretty sure it's Derek Mears, unless I'm confusing him with the actor who was Jason in Freddy vs. Jason. I think Tito's looking it up.
Because it's
so
funny
this
that
one's
all
not-
3 of those reboots have fantastic lead actors for those characters. for
Yeah,
those-
but I
those
remember
icons.
not liking Jackie Earle Haley.
Derek
as Freddy.
Mears.
Oh, I
It
did.
was Derek Mears. Okay.
I did.
Did you? I
Yeah.
did not at all.
You didn't like Jackie Earle? I
did
thought
not
that
at
casting
all.
was so good.
Yeah, I
was like, this is
agree.
gonna be
But
great.
you know what? I think I was. I
But the rest
think
of
it
the
was the
movie was
makeup,
stunk.
and I don't know if it was I don't know. It was Rorschach in a horror film. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was because it was so fresh off of
Yeah,
Watchmen.
probably.
Maybe.
But I remember thinking, "Oh, that's cool."
Oh, yeah,
and
he was
after
riding that
seeing it,
wave.
I was like, "It's just more of the same."
Yeah.
I did like, but the Friday the 13th movie, surprisingly, the reboot I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
Second time seeing
Yeah, it was
it.
decent.
Like take some chances. Like the Rob Zombie Halloween, I don't love those movies, but I like the chances he took.
Yeah.
Where he was like, okay, I'm gonna twist it a little bit and have it be this other thing. I think this was what this movie's trying to do.
Yeah.
No, it's
It may
its
not be
whole new lore.
successful,
Absolutely,
but,
it's
it's-
an Elseworlds
I
kind
love
of story.
I love those Halloween movies.
And
I'll have
I'm
to
sure
see one.
I'm sure they're going to make more of them, and this will be another
Yeah.
Hellraiser universe. And who knows? Maybe for me it'll get better, or I'll it'll suck, continue to suck. But there are people that dig this movie, and I'm sure they're going to want. I know they want to see more, and as long as people are
especially
watching
if this is a
horror,
setup.
I don't give a shit.
If
You're
this
watching
is a setup for
horror, great.
further movies, then
Yeah.
then most likely they will get better.
Dude, even the worst remake, whatever. If you're keeping these characters alive, God bless. That's all. Because I love these guys. Even if I don't love all the movies and I love the reboots, the fact that we're keeping these iconic horror characters alive. That's why I couldn't completely say I don't recommend this one. It's a very soft recommendation, but it's keeping the Hellraiser keeping Hellraiser alive and going. So I have to give it props for that.
I don't know if I can recommend it if it was a half hour shorter. If the characters were more likable, maybe I could. But I had a tough time getting through this one. Yeah, probably not. Like Tito, I don't think I'll watch this again. Even though it's on Hulu, and Hulu is mostly owned by Disney. Does this make Pinhead the new Disney princess?
I saw that meme. That's a great. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
You know what's tough for me coming off of Prey, which is a fucking solid hour and a half, fucking awesome film.
I agree.
Half hour shorter and a million times better. It's
Yep.
like I was like, oh, okay. I didn't follow the franchise. I didn't grow up watching it, but I'm like, okay, they hit one out of the park. This could be cool too.
It can be done.
It could be done. It could be cool. And, you know,
This was a ground out to center.
yeah. Maybe a walk to first. Just, the batter got hit in the shoulder.
I was
and
going to
then-
say it's not a strike, but it's definitely okay. You get a walk because you
Yeah,
got nabbed in the
yeah.
head with the ball. That's.
I didn't mind the Cenobites. I thought they looked pretty cool.
In the shadows, they looked great.
Yeah.
But
The movie's very
they
good.
were very clean. These
Yeah.
are the cleanest Cenobites I've ever seen.
We need one of those online people that make the shorter edits.
Oh,
of
yeah.
movies, like,
Yeah.
like they did with the
Yeah.
Skywalker
Yeah.
saga.
Could call Topher Grace. Somebody phone him. Maybe he can make a better edit.
All right, so that's the Hellraiser reboot. Good show, everyone. Shall
Mm-hmm.
we talk about what's making our geek flags fly before
Sure.
closing out? Who'd like to begin?
Hellraiser.
Okay.
The new one.
The new one?
Yeah, I loved it. You know the part when
When
Man-Thing
Els-
showed up?
Remember the part when it ended?
Yeah. The part when the credits rolled?
Oh, Tito and your running gags.
Oh, you know what else I hated about that movie?
Which one?
Because we were talking about earlier? The fucking commercials I had to sit through. Thank you very much, Hulu.
Yeah.
What am I paying for?
Eat shit.
Well, you're not paying for the premium. That's
no,
what-
well, I don't want to pay anything then.
It was bullshit.
That's
I
what
don't wanna pay
I
anything.
that's why I paid extra. To
Yeah.
my sister.
You know,
I'm like, I don't want. I'm
not
trying to
paying for
watch
the
stuff. I don't
premium
want to
either,
watch.
and
I kept Hulu because it was the only place that had X-Files, but thanks to
Yeah.
a certain someone, I don't have to. I'm getting rid of this freaking Hulu, dude.
No more commercials for you.
Yeah, I'm not paying for a
Yeah.
freebie. I mean, it's like paying for freebie or Tubi.
Yeah.
Like, why am I doing that?
Yeah.
You know?
I started watching. I thought it was over, but it's not. There's one episode.
Is
left,
this your
I
geek
think.
flag thing?
Yeah,
All right, start us
She-Hulk.
off.
I
Cool.
started watching She-Hulk. It's fun. It's a fun show. I don't know. Have you seen any of it yet? No. I
Wait
think
until
you might
November.
like it. I
Wait
think you
until
might
November.
like it. It's
I have
or
been
you
told,
might hate it. I don't
listen,
know.
I have been told
There's a 50-50
by those who know
chance.
me best
Mhm.
that I am going to dig it eventually.
I feel
So
like
I'm
you might
giving-
like it. I
I'm
feel
giving
like
it a fish.
you might like it. It's entertaining. It's she's
Just
fun.
remember, she's a different character than
That's fine.
actual Bruce Banner Hulk.
Yeah, she's.
Well, I never had a
she's-
problem with her
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into it, but we all know
Yeah.
what the problem is. It's
Yeah.
not her at all.
No, that's what I
She
mean.
looks fine.
That's
Yeah.
what I mean.
Yeah.
Like
Okay,
I know they
cool.
fucked up the Hulk, but
Hey, listen, I will watch it and keep an open mind.
I
Go
liked
ahead,
it. It's
Tito.
fun. I like the way the last episode ended, and I'm curious to see where it's going to go. I certainly want to see that expanded, whatever happened in that last episode.
they had sex.
They did.
No,
That's what
yeah,
happened.
yeah.
Even I know that.
No, I saw that. Oh, okay. So I don't know. I
Oh,
don't wanna
Facebook
ruin
tells
anything
it all.
for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
We posted a meme about it,
Yeah.
didn't we?
No, just more like I
did.
actually thought their relationship was cool.
Yeah, no,
I don't
honestly,
mind that
you
she's
can
like a
spoil
woman of
anything
the
with
now.
these shows for me.
You know,
I'll
she's
still
a
watch
woman
it.
of the now. She's
Yeah.
out there. She's she's getting laid.
So her and Daredevil do it.
He does a walk of shame.
yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. All right,
He
cool.
does a walk of
Yeah.
shame.
In
I thought that was
costume.
hilarious. In costume. I thought that was hilarious.
And that pissed off a lot of the fanboys, right? Was that?
I'm
was
sure.
That a
Oh,
part,
did
was
it?
that
I don't know.
Everything
I
pisses
didn't
them
hear
off.
anything.
Okay. Oh, you
I don't
didn't?
know.
Okay.
I don't
All
know.
right.
Yeah.
I thought I think it's a fun show.
Okay.
I'm glad I waited till it was just about done. Because I really can't consume my shows one episode at a time anymore. I really can't.
Yeah, that's hard.
I've been programmed to consume them another way. So.
Yeah, I need
But
it
that's a fun
all
show.
before me.
It's fun. I've been watching it and I liked it.
Nice.
I'm liking it, I should say.
Cool.
Brian?
Avenue 5 started season 2 on HBO.
Oh, yeah, you were talking about this.
And I actually haven't watched season 2 yet. I've been getting caught up on season 1 because it's been 3 years since it first aired. And revisiting the show, it's hilarious.
What is Avenue 5?
Avenue 5 is Hugh Laurie and Josh Gad. And Josh Gad is kind of like an Elon Musk kind of guy.
Yeah.
It takes place in the future.
Oh,
it's the big space liner.
yes.
You know,
Okay.
like the big ship that they have
Yeah.
in Wall-E.
Yep. I
Basically,
remember
it's huge.
Oh, it's been a while since season
Yeah, like I
one.
said, like 3 years.
Yeah.
Like COVID happened, and I thought maybe they had canceled it, but all of a sudden, HBO announced like a month ago that season 2 is happening,
Nice.
and boom, it dropped this past Sunday. So I was like, I gotta get caught up. There's only like 9 episodes, and I forgot that they're only a half an hour long, so it's easy to breeze through. I like Sunday night after like the Sunday night football game. I put it on and I breezed through like 4 of them, you know, and watched the rest of them the following day. And I still haven't seen season 2, but I'm sure if it's as funny as season 1, it's going to be awesome. Because I highly recommend it.
The rest of the cast on the ship are pretty funny too.
Yeah.
the passengers
They're people that I've seen, but I couldn't
Yeah.
tell you what their names are.
Yeah,
You know, they're a bunch of character actors that play like prominent passengers that
the couple, the married couple. And,
like one of the married couple.
right.
And-
I know that guy from somewhere.
Right. Same with me. Yeah, and his wife I've seen too. And then the guy that was he played the bad guy in the female Ghostbusters remake. Remember the one that was summoning the demon there?
Oh yeah, the guy.
He's got like the sunken eyes.
Yeah.
He plays one of the crew, like one of the actual crew, because it turns out that there's like the fake crew.
Yep.
that are like nothing but actors,
real,
and then like the real crew that live under the floorboards that are actually running the show. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of weird stuff happens, and they got to try to get their way out of it. I recommend it.
Nice. Derek.
So last week I did mention how I was pissed that I couldn't watch Interview with the Vampire.
And now you can.
And I found a way.
Life finds
a way. And,
Derek finds a way.
So
Life finds a way. It rhymes with pirate.
I haven't finished the third episode yet, but and the first episode is like a mini movie. It's like an hour and 45 minutes. The other ones are like 45 minutes.
What's that released on?
AMC so
Plus,
it's on
right?
AMC and Sci-Fi both carry it.
Sci-Fi too?
Yeah, I guess
I
so.
didn't know
Yeah.
that.
That's cool.
It's got the guy that was like Grey Worm in it, right?
Yes.
Who does he
yes.
play?
Grey
Oh,
Worm
really? That's
plays
him?
Louis.
Okay.
I knew he
he's
looked familiar.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't really like Lestat at first. The guy Sam something, I forget the guy's name. He's an Australian actor. He plays Lestat. I didn't like him at first, but he's grown on me. And they're doing it's great. It really is. It's a good rendition of the movie. I mean, not the movie, of the original book. But it's really good. They kind of updated. They changed some things, but there was things that they needed to change. The acting, like I said, is stellar, and I'm enjoying it. So
Eric Bogosian is it? I like that guy.
Oh, and he's awesome. He plays the Christian Slater part from the movie, The Interviewer.
He's the interviewer.
And one of the things that they changed is that he still had that in San Francisco, that interview with him, but now this is like 20-something years later, and he's telling a completely different story, and he's remembering his relationship and his time when he first became a vampire, completely different than he made it sound like when originally on the original tapes.
That's cool.
When he was a young reporter. So he wants to do this book, and he's basically saying that everything that was on the tapes was an act. And it's kind of you're seeing a more poetic story. It's really, really good. They're doing a really good job with it, and both actors are great, and he is great as the reporter. Oh, and Ray Don Chong's in it.
Come on.
She plays
Gino.
Louis' mother.
Look at that.
She plays Louis' mother.
Your goddess.
We were just talking about it.
That's right, we were.
She's back, baby.
Oh, Everett McGill's in that. He plays one of the other bad guys.
Oh, wow.
Silver
Yeah,
Bullet and Twin
See
Peaks'
that?
his own Everett McGill.
And then Katherine Heigl plays the niece.
Katherine Heigl, she's mean. She's a meanie.
But yeah, it's pretty good.
Cool. All right, my geek flags, all shout outs to people. Like I said, I was on Two Geeks and a Mic with Mike and Steve, and they had me on for talking about Werewolf by Night, and I just want to say thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Two good guys and a great podcast.
Definitely check that podcast out, Two Geeks and a Mic. And also a shout out to our own Tito, who hooked me up with some awesome signings at New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
Much appreciated, my friend.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And to Dean for another Escape Pod episode, which we recently recorded.
That's
that
right.
will be out in the near future.
Awesome.
Dean and Mark's Obscure Adventure. So shout out to friends all around.
Yep.
It's all about friendship on these
Yep.
podcasts.
That's
isn't
right.
it?
That's
That's
right.
right.
That's
Sharing
what
is
it comes
caring.
down to.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Tristan and Chris from the Get Your Shine Box.
That's
and
right.
Shout out to Marco and his crew from Entertainment Rants.
Yep.
And anybody else that we've forgotten, then we'll catch you the next time.
Absolutely. Oh, PVD Horror. If I forget
God,
Joshua,
yeah, Josh.
I can't forget him. He's always there. He's
Yep.
always got great feedback for
He
us.
does. We got to have him on.
Thank you,
soon.
Joshua. I'm going to be at his horror convention, the PVD Horror Convention.
When is
on,
that?
October 23rd.
Okay.
Which is a Sunday at the Buttonwood Brewery.
All right, so
it's got a more
Monster
clever
Expo,
name. Yeah.
as of this recording, is this coming weekend.
Right, you're too late
so,
for that one.
Right,
I
so
hope we
his
had
is
fun.
the following
But
weekend.
PVD is hosting something
Yeah.
at Monster Expo, aren't they?
Yeah, they're doing the screening for
Yes.
Nightmare on
Oh,
Elm
that's
Street.
right.
Yeah.
The Scream Queen
Yep.
and the Scream
That's
for
why I thought it was their
Right.
expo.
So all the shout outs to everybody who's listened. And like I said, it's all about friendship. So we want to make more friends. And the best way to make more friends, spread the word, have them listen to our past episodes. And Brian, how can we get more friends? How can they do that?
By heading over to www.3gdpodcast.com. That's www.
The number 3.
GD. Say it with a little bit more enthusiasm, boys.
The number 3.
GDpodcast.com.
I went the opposite way. I'm sorry.
Like Mark said, you'll find all of our past episodes. You'll find places where you can rate and review the show. Our Ko-fi page is there where you can
buy us coffee.
Buy
too.
us a coffee.
Buy
That's
us
what it's
a
called.
coffee, yeah.
That's actually what it's called. Buy us a coffee. $3. It's is how you can donate, and it goes to help keep the show moving along. Our social media links are there, and lots of other good stuff. So please check us out over there.
Very good. Thank you, Brian. That's the way we make friends. I feel like I should be driving an ice cream truck while I say that. It's very odd when you. So if there's nothing else for 3 Geeky Dads, until next time, I am Mark.
I'm Derek.
I'm Brian.
I'm Tito.
And good night, and keep watching the skies because it's raining men. Lots of men.
And
Hallelujah.
So until our next Halloween episode. Good night out there, whatever you are.
That was spooky.
That's right.
I'm shaking.
Scared me.
I just pissed myself.
No, that was me. Oh, shit, you pissed on me, Derek. How?
I was marking my territory.
He was marking his mark.
Mark's on your territory right here.
So the first 3 are the Halloween-centric jokes. Which one do you want to do?
Let's just start with the top one and work our way down.
All right.
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Multiple jokes?
Multiple.
I found some the other day that were Halloween-centric dad jokes.
Ah.
How do you fix a broken jack-o'-lantern?
Practice.
With a pumpkin patch.
Oh, that's even better. That's even better than mine.
Homer Simpson smiling politely.
As he backs into the hedges.
Oh, with a pumpkin patch. I get it. A patch.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to think about that one.
Well, no, because we said pumpkin patch, and I immediately thought like the actual field.
Whole field of pumpkins.
Brought me to the literal sense. So I didn't put it together.
Should we go to the second one then?
No. That was fine.
Nope. All the more reason why.
Just because I'm a friggin' idiot.
All the
doesn't
more
mean
reason why we need this.
audiences.
Ready?
Ready.
Cool. Hold on. Let me get my intro up. Something. I don't know the words. More cowbell.
1 + 2 is 1.
Don't. I just know. Don't fear the Reaper. And more cowbell.
Fear the Reaper.
There you go.
No, do the wind, the sun, or the rain, we could be like they are. Come on, baby, feel the Reaper. Take my hand. We'll be able to fly.
You just start a barbershop quartet.
That's one word for it. Yeah.
Baby on board.
Something. Burt Ward.
Something.
It's the Simpsons one.
Ready?